Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Max from Crypto Potato, and today I am joined with Synth, one of the creators of Skycoin. So let's get right into it. So I know you've been in the crypto ecosystem for a very long time. You learned about the flaws of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I want to know, how did you implement what you've learned from your history in crypto and from the flaws, as exactly what I just said about Bitcoin and Ethereum? How did you implement that towards Skycoin?
So Skycoin is a very old project. It started about the time when Bitcoin launched, and people see Bitcoin as the leading cryptocurrency, and it's been the dominant cryptocurrency for the last 10 years, but it's actually is the first cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin has a lot of flaws. It was I think the first functioning cryptocurrency, and there were multiple currencies before Bitcoin, like Hashcash and Chomcash and various projects that failed, like eGold. And Bitcoin was the first digital currency that achieved mass adoption. But during the development of Bitcoin, as soon as it was released to the public and started gaining adoption, it was very clear that there were severe problems in Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin was not going to be the final coin or the final solution to the problems that these digital currencies were designed to solve. And so one of the issues that became immediately apparent was Bitcoin was based upon proof of work. And in proof of work, whoever controls the hashing power of the network controls the network. And you can buy hashing power. So it turns out that whoever has the most money can buy the most hashing power and therefore controls Bitcoin. And so Satoshi, when he created Bitcoin, envisioned a decentralized cryptocurrency that would be distributed over hundreds of thousands of computers globally. And what ended up happening was the control of the network consolidated into 2 or 3 mining pools. And that just completely dominated the network. So Bitcoin was designed to be decentralized, but in reality it was centralized. And another thing was that Bitcoin, we say it's private and no one can figure out who sent what transactions, but after Bitcoin, and Satoshi had envisioned several privacy features to make it more difficult to track the transactions, and people think that their Bitcoin transactions are anonymous and untrackable, but the reality is that all the transactions are public and are trackable. So the measures that Satoshi took to, for instance, to do the privacy of the coin were insufficient, and other flaws like transaction rate. For the first few years, no one was using Bitcoin, so the maximal transaction rate of the network didn't matter. But by the 10th year, we found out Bitcoin was only able to do 6 transactions per second. And if you wanted to have a true global currency, it's not enough transactions per second in order to support the number of people on Earth. So the transaction rate was insufficient. The Bitcoin turned out to become centralized instead of decentralized, and the privacy wasn't sufficient. And of course, there's several other things, several specific problems. But so Skycoin was really a reaction to Bitcoin, because as soon as Bitcoin was released, the flaws in the protocol were becoming apparent. And so we spent, for instance, 4 years just doing academic research on how do we replace proof of work as a consensus mechanism. And another major flaw in Bitcoin is that so Bitcoin works and you can do a payment, but the payment can take an hour. It could take 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. And so if you walk into a coffee shop and you want to buy a cup of coffee with Bitcoin, you don't want to wait in front of the counter for 40 minutes for your transaction to clear. So with Skycoin, we wanted to make sure that the transactions were faster than a credit card transaction. We wanted someone to be able to walk into a coffee shop and to buy a cup of coffee and to have the payment go through in 2 seconds. And in order to do that, we had to radically change the basic architecture of how Bitcoin worked.
Before we get into Skywire, can you maybe tell me a little bit more about Skycoin and the algorithm, Obelisk, that helps solve the fundamental problems that you found in Ethereum and in Bitcoin?
So as soon as Bitcoin launched, there were several flaws that became immediately apparent. So from very early on, we realized that proof of work would not lead to decentralization, and that people are greedy, and that would eventually result in an oligarchy. And what was actually happened was very amusing. The mining pools control the transactions, and people have to pay fees to get their transactions through. So the mining pools would inject fake transactions with fees, but the fees goes back to the mining pool. So they'll inject all these transactions with $40 fees, and then they get the fee. The mining pool gets the fee back into so it's like them taking the money from their left pocket and moving it to the right pocket. But to the other users, those transactions are real, because the users have to compete with those fake transactions to get their transaction in. And so we saw a point in Bitcoin where people were the mining pools, which are supposed to be running the network. They're what we rely on to run the network, that people we're supposed to trust. We saw them stuffing fake transactions in to make people pay $50 transaction fees because it benefited them and because it could. So Bitcoin was really, from very early on, even before they started doing this, we realized that they could do it, and it was in their economic interest, and that eventually they would do it because it benefited them financially. And so we realized that the way that Bitcoin does mining would not be sufficient, and we needed to basically, there were a lot of things that we wanted to change from Bitcoin, and there were a lot of problems in Bitcoin that didn't become apparent until years after Bitcoin was launched. And then also Ethereum came, and we learned a lot from Ethereum, like what to do and what not to do, and what worked and what didn't work, and which compromises we should or shouldn't make. So many people thought that Ethereum, so we have three things in Skycoin. We have the Skycoin token, which is our basic currency for the ecosystem. And we have Fiber, which is our platform for companies to launch their blockchain applications. And with that platform, we also have like a data storage thing, and we have a scripting language, CX, so that businesses can write their blockchain application in. And we have a hardware platform, which is the Skyminer, which is what the applications actually run on. And then we have Skycoin, which is an economic incentive. So when people are running this network and they're providing services, they're getting paid for running those services. So you can go and you can buy a Skyminer or build a Skyminer, and you can have people run decentralized applications on your Skyminer, and they'll pay you coins for doing that. And so one of our flagship applications, people think that Skycoin is just Skywire and the meshnet, but that's not actually true. Skycoin is actually a platform, and we have over 30 coins already launched on it. And every month it's another dozen or something coins. I can't even keep track of it anymore. But people think, oh, Skycoin is just the meshnet, and it turns out that this meshnet or Skywire is actually just an app. It's one app, and we're releasing like 50 other apps. But that's one of the flagship apps that we use a lot for marketing. And the idea behind Skywire is that you're going to buy telecommunication equipment like Wi-Fi routers, and you're going to hook them up, and your neighbors are going to install them, and you forward packets. And if you provide services to the network, you get paid coins. And if you consume services, you pay coins. So this is a sort of closed loop economy. And this is really, I think, important, because if you look at coins, Dash, Monero, Verge, Dogecoin, all the first and second generation cryptos, they didn't really have a revenue model. There was no reason for the coin to even exist. So you say, why does Dogecoin exist? It's like, oh, there's a bunch of people like the name, and they like the cute dogs, and they're sending the coins to each other. And it's a community. But do they really need Dogecoin? No. Do they need, and Dogecoin was sort of a joke about Bitcoin, because it was, why should Bitcoin exist? So Bitcoin was a currency without a country or a currency that didn't represent a nation. It wasn't, there was no economic resources, no physical resources, no gold, no agriculture, no real economic activity that was backing Bitcoin. So when we developed Skycoin, we said that we had to not only fix all of the problems of Bitcoin, we had, and set a new standard for cryptocurrencies and solve all these outstanding issues. We said we also have to build an economy that makes sense. We had an economy where people are producing and people are consuming, and right now in the first and second generation cryptocurrencies, the economies are based upon speculation. So some guy buys a coin, and he might try to flip the coin for 10 times what he made. He'll buy the coin, the price goes up, he flips it, and this coin's getting pumped this week, and that coin's getting dumped, and this coin's being pumped. And the coins today really function like a fantasy football stock market. They're like horse races. Like, do I like Verge, or do I like Tron, or which horse should I bet on? And it's really an act of gambling. There's no real economic activity that is backing any of the current coins. So with Skycoin, we said we wanted to build a real economy. So we're actually focused on monetizing storage, computation, bandwidth, decentralized utility companies like microgrid projects, decentralized telecom, video games like Kitty Cash. KittyCash.com is one of our pilot games. Poker, things that people will pay money for, and services that people will use in their daily lives. So we think gaming is going to be a huge thing on blockchain, so we're doing several projects on that. We think telecommunications perfectly fits blockchain, and I think it's going to be the first real application of blockchain will be Skywire. And in the 10 years since Bitcoin, so people say, what is Bitcoin? And to me, Bitcoin is a social experiment. And Bitcoin is really a solution in search of a problem. So Bitcoin is a solution to a problem that was not defined. So you have an example of this in technology is the laser. So someone creates a laser and they can create a beam of light that's 1,000,000 times brighter than the sun, but what did they do with it? Well, okay, I have this beam of light that's 1,000,000 times brighter than the sun, but there's no application for it. And it actually took 30 years to figure out what the application of the laser was. And now we use it to drill holes and to cut metal sheets, and we use it for CD-ROM drives, and we use it for LiDAR, and like self-driving cars use it to need lasers to estimate distances so they don't hit other cars. And so lasers are in everything we use, but when they were invented, it took 30 years for people to even figure out what are you going to use this for. And that's what blockchain is today. It's a very powerful technology, but the applications for that technology haven't been discovered yet or haven't been developed. And so we see Skywire, we put into Skycoin because we felt that was the most natural application that fit Bitcoin. Because we not only, in Bitcoin you buy coins, you mine, and you get the coins, but there's nothing to spend them on. Bitcoin is not a closed-loop economy. You can just buy the coin and later sell it at a higher price to someone else. So it sort of acts like a Ponzi. It doesn't, and I don't like saying that because Bitcoin isn't a Ponzi. There's many reasons for people are adopting it. Like, they don't want to pay taxes. They want to protect their money. They want to do international payments. Like if you want to send money overseas, Bitcoin is very convenient and easy. It doesn't care where you live, what country you are, what passport you have. If the person you're sending to has a government ID, any person can just pick up the Bitcoin software and just send money to someone instantly. And so this is a revolution compared to like sitting in line in a bank and oh, they won't give you a bank account because you don't have a passport, and then charge you a 20% fee, or Western Union will charge like 50, 40, 30% fees for remittances, and you get screwed on the currency exchange rate. And so Bitcoin is superior to these other methods of payment. So there's reasons people are using it, but Bitcoin doesn't actually have an economy associated with it. And so when we built Skycoin, we wanted to not only build Skycoin, but also build a platform and then build a real-world economy where people were buying services and providing services. So you need both ends. You need producers and you need consumers. And if you don't have both producers and consumers, you don't have a closed loop. And so I think that's the most important challenge for us is to build this closed loop self-contained economy and to sort of back Skycoin by something useful.
So I know the second part of your project is Skywire, the new decentralized internet, as well as this device here, the Skyminer. Can you tell us about both of those things?
So this is the Skyminer, and this is our hardware platform for decentralized applications on blockchain. And Skywire is the first decentralized application that we're launching. And so this is 8 computers here. It's like a personal cloud or a sort of a personal supercomputer. It uses cell phone chips that are very low power, very efficient. And each board can run one decentralized application. So this is actually a small Skyminer. We're going to have bigger ones with like 256 boards and industrial versions. But this board can run like this Skyminer has 8 boards and can run 8 decentralized applications. And so one of the applications is Skywire. So Skywire is very simple. You have a node and you run a node on a board, and your Skywire node receives packets and it forwards packets and you get paid for it. So you just run this, you plug it in, and you're getting coins. So this is like mining in Bitcoin, but it has nothing to do with the blockchain directly in terms of creating blocks. It is actual. It's a service that you're providing, and you're being paid coins for running that service. So instead of paying people coins just to create blocks, which is sort of useless, we wanted to transition mining into something that was useful and that's something that people were willing to pay money for. And so so this you plug it in, you get the equipment, and you start making money. And you don't. And eventually we're gonna. Right now you have to use Linux and SSH, but eventually you're gonna have a pool or a maintainer, and it's gonna be plug and play, and you just plug it in, and it will auto configure, and you'll start getting coins. We're working on the second version. It's going to be much smaller. We're going to have 32 boards in the same space, and these will be stackable, and they will be you will be able to have 32,000 computers in your house if you want, within the size of a refrigerator. It's like a personal supercomputer.
What is the market penetration strategy for Skywire?
So we have multiple projects that are each aimed at individual groups of people and verticals in the market. So one of the major drivers is Skywire, but not everyone's going to go install Linux and go climb on the roof and install telecommunication equipment and microwave relays. And I think there's a few million people that'll do that in order to get coins. So we have the Skyminer, and we have network attached storage and different types of applications in order to allow the more technical users to join the network. And then we have other things like Kitty Cash. So you can go and you can buy cats and breed cats and have a cat auction house and sell cats. And we're going to have poker, and we're going to have different types of like gambling or sports betting. And we're going to basically, it's a platform. So we're able to add one app for this group who likes football or sports betting, and this one that people who like poker, and this one for people who like video games or they could make some money. Like the cat breeding game is sort of a game of skill, and if you're very good at it, you can take like $100,000 and buy some $10,000 cats and breed them, and then flip the cats for $15,000. And so you if you're good at the game, you can you quit your job and just play these like real money games all day if you wanted. And if you want to install network equipment, and you can do that. And if you want to write your own decentralized application on the platform and take like a percentage of the money you can exchange, you can do that too. So there's different. If you're a developer, you can do this and develop video games. And if you're a hardware person, you can assemble Skyminers and sell them for Skycoin and so on. And you can design your own Skyminers and hardware and so on. Or you can maintain other people's Skyminers, because some people want to buy them and they want to get the coins, but they don't want to deal with the configuration. So there'll be a pool, and you'll say, okay, I'll do all the work for you, but just give me 5% of the coins. You buy the hardware, I'll take care of it for you. And that's our sort of a vision for a mining pool, is to allow less technical users to have their machinery optimized and configured so that they're getting the most coins per hour, but they don't actually have to worry about the specifics. So they just plug it in and go to sleep, and the coins show up in their wallet. So we have different strategies for different verticals, and for penetration for Skywire, it's a very difficult question, because if you're in an area and you have gigabit Ethernet or gigabit internet and it's $20 a month, you don't really need this, because you're not going to climb on your roof, and who cares? If you're in the rural area and your internet service provider sucks, and you can get 1 gigabit per second internet by installing $2,000 worth of equipment and climbing on 2 roofs, then this makes a lot of sense. If you're in Kenya and your parents are in some rural village and they're spending half their income on cell phone data, then installing some long distance radio equipment like ham radio and hooking Skywire up to it makes a lot of sense. Saves you a lot of money, and you wire the village, and the other villagers use it, and you make money on it, and it's profitable. So I think people will adopt this technology just because it makes them money. We don't actually have to tell them like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, or it's not like Facebook. It's like, okay, I do this. I made $5,000 a month. Like, you know, I made more running my Skyminer than I made working my job in my cubicle. You know, so that I don't. That's like Bitcoin. You saw a lot of people in the early days of Bitcoin just quitting their jobs to do mining and building all these mining rigs, and they eventually were making more money from Bitcoin mining than they were from working. And I think as the digital economy evolves, I think we're going to see that more and more.
So today is the big day. The Skywire project is being launched. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the testnet?
So right now, we've shipped Skyminers for about 2 months, and we're doing about 300 per month. And the waiting list currently is over, I think, 10 years. I don't know how many thousands of people are waiting, and we've only been doing 300 a month. And it turns out all of the boards that we're using for this particular CPU on Earth are sold out. We have to switch to a different CPU and redesign the board and increase so that we can increase the production rate and clear out the. So people have bought these, assembled the Skyminer for 2 months, but the software wasn't ready because the software always takes longer than everyone. You think it'll take a month, and it takes 6 months, and it's just normal for software development to be slower than what everything takes longer than you think it does. You think, I'm done, I launched the app, and then you find out there's all these bugs, and you just have to spend 6 months fixing bugs and things like that, or changing this, or adding features. So the Skyminer, the testnet means the software is finally running, and people are going to start receiving coins for the Skyminer running, and we're going to, and so that started today, and the only app on the testnet right now is a VPN app, basically, where you can anonymize your internet traffic and connect through a VPN, and it will route it to the Skyminers, and you get coins for forwarding the traffic. And we're currently, so the testnet is a big event, and then we're launching other applications, of course, and we're doing the mainnet, and we're the testnet is for fixing the bugs and getting it working and scaling it up before we do the mainnet.
So another aspect of your project is the fiber network. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about that?
So Fiber is our platform for companies to launch their own coin or their own blockchain application. And to go back why we have Fiber, I would consider there's 3 generations of cryptocurrency. The first one was like Bitcoin and Litecoin, Dogecoin, which was just a token. And they really did 2 things. You can check your balance of an address, and you can send money. And Bitcoin was supposed to have basically a Turing-complete scripting language, but it didn't work the way it was implemented, and there were so it was just disabled basically because it caused too many problems. And Ethereum began the 2nd generation of blockchain, which was these sort of smart contract platforms. And Ethereum fixed the problems in the Bitcoin scripting language that were basically disabled, and so that resulted in the scripting language being disabled in Bitcoin, and allowed people to create smart contracts. But it turns out that smart contracts weren't used at all. So people say smart contracts, blah, 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 but no one actually uses smart contracts. The killer application for Ethereum was actually the ability of people to launch their own coins. So there was a smart contract called ERC20, and ERC20 lets you launch a coin. So thousands or hundreds of thousands of people ended up launching coins and doing ICOs basically on Ethereum. But it doesn't make sense to take all of the data for the whole world, for every blockchain application, and shove it on one gigantic blockchain, because it'll be bloated. It would be hundreds of terabytes. It'll be slow. The transactions will be too expensive. And so the 3rd generation of blockchain is what comes after Ethereum, which is what Skycoin's working on, is platforms like Fiber. And we give every company their own blockchain. So if you have your own app, you have your own blockchain, you have no transaction fees, there's no gas costs, you can put whatever you want on it. If you want to do smart contracts, you can have your own smart contracts. If you want to just do payments, you can just do payments. If you want to add 15,000 coins on your own blockchain, you can do that. And the real reason that we needed to create a platform like Fiber was because if you look at Ethereum, they did an app called Kitty Cat, CryptoKitties, and it became popular, and the whole Ethereum network can only handle 30 transactions a second. So if 30 people were buying and selling cats at the same time, every single other of the hundreds of thousands of apps on Ethereum just shut down for days, actually. And so you don't, if you're running a power grid on Ethereum, right, your power grid's going to shut down for 2 days because these people over there are buying and selling cats. It's just not, it's ridiculous. So with Fiber, we give every project their own blockchain, and your blockchain has this many transactions per second. Actually, each blockchain has 10 times more transactions per second than all of Ethereum, including all these apps. And we can do 300 transactions a second per blockchain, and Ethereum only does 30 total over all the apps on the whole network. So this is, so if you're running your app, you get your dedicated blockchain, your dedicated transaction processing, and if some other app is screwing up and destroying the network or spamming, it's not going to affect your blockchain and your company. So we consider this to be the third generation of what comes after Ethereum. I don't think there's a lot of people saying post blockchain, and we're going to kill blockchain, and we're going to replace it with this, or we're going to replace it with that, or blockchain is dead. And I don't think that's true. I think these new technology approaches are different, have some niche applications, but I haven't actually seen anything that is as general or as powerful as blockchain. And people say, what is blockchain? It's really a database. And there's several things you can do with blockchain. You can have a coin, or you could have a coin in smart contracts, or you can just have data but no coin. Some companies just want to store data. They don't need a token necessarily. Like, you don't need a token for your payroll system. They want to use blockchain like a database without a token. Another company. So there's different uses of blockchain, and so what Fiber really is a platform that fits all of the major use cases of blockchain. It allows private chains, public chains, and semi-private, and it allows you to swap out a consensus mechanism, one consensus mechanism for another consensus mechanism. It allows you to choose whether or not you want scripting on your chain, and what kind of operations you want. Do you want any smart contract to be executed, or do you want your chain to be restricted to a certain set of operations that are only for your business? And so Fiber is more focused for our industry partners on like power grid projects and municipal bonds and e-government projects. And so Fiber is more about bringing blockchain to the real world instead of merely raising money with ICOs. So I think that there was a period where you could just raise $20 or $100 million for basically what I would call shitcoin. It's just some I'm going to do that. I'm going to get drone. I literally saw a company, and they had like trucks, and they said they're going to have robotic self-driving trucks and like drones that pick up shipping crates flying in the air and grabbing the shipping crates from the drones, and they needed $40 million in their ICO. And of course they're never going to do this. They're going to raise the money and take the $40 million and run away and go to like take a vacation or something, or do another ICO, whatever. I don't know what they do with the money. But so there's this ICO phase, and then that died off. Now no one's making money in ICOs, and all these companies ran out of money. And then we had an exchange phase where there's like 3,000 exchanges being launched, like 100 new exchanges a week, and the exchanges are how you make money. So there's different phases, and I consider some of these to be fads. Like I think the ICO thing was a fad. And now what we see in the third generation with Skycoin, the Ethereum was really the ICO fad phase. And in the third generation, we're seeing actual businesses, like publicly traded companies and companies with hundreds of millions of dollars a year in revenue, coming in and saying, how can blockchain be integrated into our business? So they have an existing business with existing customers, and they're coming in asking us for blockchain. And they're trying to build their thing on Ethereum, but it doesn't work. So it's too slow. They have to do 100,000 transactions a day, but they don't want to pay $5 a transaction. If one of these companies, like Facebook, can support hundreds of millions of users being on the website at the same time, like posting things, but Ethereum can only support 30 people buying and selling cats at a time. So it can't scale to the level that these companies require. And imagine if every single thing that you did online cost $5. And that's basically what you have with Ethereum, is every transaction costs $5. And so these companies say, oh, we don't want to pay fees. No fees. Make it faster, more transactions. Let us customize it. We want to own our own blockchain. We don't want to be on someone else's blockchain. So those are the real concerns that that sort of motivated Fiber. And so that's why these companies are coming to us. And we have actually a lot of partnerships. We have so many partnerships in the pipeline, it's becoming ridiculous. We have people, we have governments, and now cities, and like economic zones, publicly traded utility companies, NGOs. We have people who are doing microloans in Africa, and they want to start moving it onto blockchain and things like that. And we have like even farmers are saying like, can I do grain? Like they're losing all their money to this company Cargill or something, and they want to take their grain before it's harvested and start selling it, pre-selling it to the mill that will grind the grain without going through a middleman. So they're trying so that they can capture the profit instead of giving it to some mega corporation. So we have like even farmers looking at how can we use blockchain to issue grain futures and things like that. So we have a lot of pilots, and it's actually pretty crazy because the number of companies that have approached us is much larger than the number of people that we have to deal with them. So we're going to be expanding a lot in the next year to be able to handle these companies.
And finally, we're interested to know what's next. What's coming up?
So we have a lot of projects in the pipeline. We're launching our scripting language CX. We're doing the testnet for. We're doing the mainnet. We are launching our platform for the decentralized applications. The Skywire is the first application, but we have maybe 50 applications we want to implement. We just opened a hardware incubator. We're releasing our mobile wallet. We're working on multiple different types of hardware wallets for different applications. We're working on a point-of-sale system so that stores can start accepting these crypto payments at the point of sale in the store. And we think that's absolutely essential for adoption. One of the reasons we haven't seen Bitcoin really adopted in the mainstream is because there's really no easy way to take Bitcoin payments. You can't walk into a store and pay with Bitcoin. It's just too difficult. So we're also doing video games. We're hiring video game developers, and the first video game is kittycash.com, and they're doing a cat drop, and they're like giving away like 10 million cats and stuff to get people to install the Skycoin wallet. We are there's just so Skycoin. There's a lot going on. So Skycoin is actually like a consortium. It's like 30 different companies that are related, and this company is doing gaming, and they're working on this and this, and they're developing these parts of the ecosystem, and this company is working on storage, and they're doing these parts of the ecosystem, and this company wants the scripting, and they're doing this, and this company is doing ICO, and they just want this and this, and so different companies or different parts of our group are developing different parts of the ecosystem, and in parallel. So it's not like sometimes I don't even know what's going on. There's just like so much going on now. It's crazy. And we're even getting into like building our own exchange software because we have partners and they want to launch exchanges, and they want to guarantee that when they launch their token that they're going to have an exchange, and they don't want to go to a third-party exchange. They just want to run it themselves, or they want a friend to run it. So we're also working on exchange software and OTC software, and also software for market making. Like we have a maker-taker bot, and we have a range trading bot, and we have different types of tools so that someone wants to support the price of the coin, and they'll keep it in a certain range and ensure that someone wants to buy or sell, that they can always that the coins are always there. And so there's and that on hardware wallets. So companies that are launching on Skyledger from day one, we're giving them a mobile wallet, we're giving them a desktop wallet, we're giving them a hardware wallet, and we're giving them an exchange. So we want these companies eventually to be able to launch a coin and within 2 hours have their coin on an exchange and have their mobile wallet and desktop wallet, and for merchants to be able to start accepting payments in that token. So so we're building out this full service platform, and I wouldn't say like what's next, what's the big news, what's the biggest event that's coming up, and I think that honestly the biggest event coming up is the exchange listings. We sort of got stuck in a point where there was a lot of drama with the SEC sending out these letters, and a lot of the exchanges stopped listing coins, and then by the time Skycoin was on the market, they already were backlogged 80 coins. They had a year worth of coins they had to list, and it took them a while. And now that backlog's cleared, and now Skycoin has been waiting in line for 3 months now, and we're finally getting to the point that the listings on the largest exchanges are starting. So I think that's probably the most exciting event that's coming up. And then of course we're gonna have more like mainnet launch and more application launches and so on. But the exchange listing, I think, is going to be the biggest thing in the next 2 months.
Well, thank you so much. That was really an enlightening interview. Here, right next to us, as you know, is the first ever Skyminer in Israel, and I would be honored if you could sign it for us on the day of the Testnet launch, which is today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see other videos like this or more additional interviews that I've done, check out our website at cryptopotato.com or our YouTube channel, which is Crypto Potato.